Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.
Steve Teel, Very Bold Radio and Podcast. Man, I am going to have the best time talking to Rocco Grimaldi. Rocco, first, before I start telling people about what you did this summer and some of the things going on with your hockey career, an amazing, amazing tournament, the World Championship. How are you doing today? What's going on?
I'm good. It's good to be back with you. It's been a while since we've done one of these, probably a couple of years, maybe.
Dang, that's
I don't know,
messed
maybe,
up.
It's for sure been at least a year. I'm not sure how long, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Just kind of enjoying some time off. To be honest, I'm pretty bored. I don't really like taking time off, so I'm kind of just chilling around the house, not really doing much, just hoping my hockey gear gets here soon because they had to ship it back from Europe, so should be here this week. So I'm kind of bored without it right now. So just hanging out, trying to get some rest.
It's the perfect time for me to get you on an interview then, because you're bored. And I mean, how many times in the last year or so I probably have asked, like, hey, can we do an interview? And you're like, no, I'm too busy. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm pretty sure you're still at the top of the leaderboard for most appearances on Very Bold Radio and Podcasts. There's no way you're not.
I believe it.
Yeah.
The friendship discount.
The friendship discount. Well, I really appreciate it. This is the first time to get to do like video face to face. I know we've done one interview in studio, I think in person.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and then most of them are just by phone. So it's pretty awesome to have your face, your beautiful face, man, your handsome face.
A scruffy bearded face, yeah. You can tell
So
it's the season, you're lazy and bored. You can see it.
So that wasn't like a World Hockey Championship beard or anything?
No, I'm just being lazy. I'm being lazy.
What does Abby think about this being lazy beard?
I don't think she likes it very much, but she already signed up, so it's all right. I'm good. I'm set.
You already signed. You got that locked in. So how many years have you guys been married before we talk about hockey?
Next month will be 7.
That's crazy to me. 7 years. Yeah, next month. What's the date on the anniversary?
July 9th.
Okay. All right. Hey, she got to go to Finland for part of the World Hockey Championships.
Yeah. No, that was great. She got I'm trying to remember. I think she got there between games 4 and 5, I believe.
Okay.
So she got to see, I think she missed the 4 games and then got to see 5. So she got to see basically the half of it or whatever.
Okay.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good experience for her. She's never seen me play games overseas before. That was a first. So she's never seen me play with the USA jersey on minus 10 years ago on TV. Right. So she's never seen that live. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. So she came in about like the France game, maybe?
It was right before
or Sweden.
No, she saw both of those. There's one more game before
Austria?
Denmark, I believe, was her first one. I think Denmark was the 5th game we played.
Oh, crud. I don't have Denmark on my stat sheet.
Between Austria and Denmark, I believe.
Man, How do I not have Denmark? What?
Not prepared.
I am not prepared. You know why? Because somebody wanted to move the interview up. No, just kidding. I messed this up last night. So Denmark, what did you do? Because I literally have every other game in front of me. So that must have been, yeah, wow, that's crazy. Did you get a goal or assist in that game?
I had an empty net goal and 1 assist. We won 3-0.
Okay.
It was a big one. I think it was 0-0 in the 3rd, maybe. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah, and then we scored one kind of early on, and then we scored one with 5 minutes left to make it 2-0. And then I scored an empty net with like a minute or something.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe, got to fire my research department and start over. All right, let's talk about the men's world championship. I've got to brag about you because I know you're not going to. So I'm taking the reins on this. I want to tell our listeners and our viewers the men's world hockey championship this year was in Finland and Latvia. Originally it was going to be in Russia. Is that right? Maybe.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. So this is an annual world championship tournament, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the USA participates, and just want to tell my people, here's the deal about one of the accomplishments that Rocco had during this tournament. So during this tournament history, going back for the USA, 1949, a hockey player named Bruce Mather led the world in points for the World Hockey Championship tournament. And that was the first American. And since then, there have only been 3 Americans that have led in points. That's goals and assists together, for those of you that aren't hockey fans, that have led the World Hockey Championships. 1963, a guy named Marshall. I don't know how to say his last name, man. It might be Tashida. He was 1963, a 5-way tie for the leader in points for the World Hockey Championships. So this does not happen very often. And then 2018, so that's a span of what, 37, 55 years? Wow, 55 years. Patrick Kane, hockey fans, you know Patrick Kane. He is, man, where does he rank among American hockey players?
Could be number 1. He's up there for sure.
Yeah, he could be, right? I mean, he was the youngest American to reach. Is he really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. 2018 was the last time an American led the World Hockey Championship with the most points, and that was Patrick Kane. And now 2023, baby, Rocco Grimaldi leads the World Hockey Championship in points. Come on, I am so fired up. I mean, you had 14 points, right? Do I have that right? I didn't have my Denmark stats on here. 14 points. The next highest was 12. And somewhere in my research, I've got some of those players that were next up, NHL players from Germany and I think the Czech Republic, 14 points. And in typical Grimaldi fashion, I mean, so Grimaldi-like, 7 goals, 7 assists. That is so you. I mean, it's not like 10 goals, 4 assists. It's not like 12 assists and 2 goals. It is you. You're a playmaker, but you're a scorer. Some of those goals and some of those assists were just amazing. So I'm gonna walk you through some of them. I'm gonna ask you about some of them if you can remember them. And that's not even including the goal you had an exhibition game against Germany, which you had an incredible goal. And I put together for myself like a video highlight reel. I don't even have that one on there. Just an incredible tournament. So I want to just say one last thing before we just talk about some of this accomplishment. And also you made the all tournament team, which was obviously made a lot of sense that you leading the world in points would make that. But for people who don't know, and you can break it down better than me, but just looking at the roster, we're talking about the USA had 14 NHL players that played on NHL teams this past season, 8 AHL players this year, and then 3 college players is what I counted. So this is I mean, obviously, we know where I stand. Rocco is an NHL player, but this last year you played for San Diego most of the year before playing for the Rockford IceHogs, and you wound up among the top leaders in points there, and also very evenly distributed. Looks like 33 goals on the year. Does that sound right?
Yep.
27-6 and 40 assists, more than 1 point a game for the goals and the IceHogs. And then here in this tournament, these 14 points. So we're talking about 10 games in 17 days. That's crazy. Man, when's the last time you played that many games? Yeah.
I think during the COVID year, probably played that many games because we were playing like it was game, day off, game, day off, game. It was literally every other day we were playing a game, it seemed. So you get used to it after a while, I guess. So we try to take care of your body as best as possible. So things like this happen, it's ready to go, especially by the end of the tournament when guys start slowing down. Hopefully you're either getting better or at least, staying the same and not feeling worse as the tournament goes on.
You do such a great job of taking care of your body and just all that awareness. When you look at the end of the tournament and where were you? Like, would you say you were still at 100%? Or you down to like 95%? What would you kind of assess those at the end of 10 games in 17 days for you?
I definitely wouldn't say I was 100%. I was playing through a few different things for sure. Just had a couple of issues throughout the year that were just kind of just lingered the whole year. But thankfully, I didn't miss one game this whole year. I didn't miss a game for injury, for sickness, for anything. I mean, technically, if you want to say I missed a game when I got traded. So, in the midst of the traveling, like I missed a game. So I don't consider that missing a game because there's nothing I could have done about that.
Right.
But I think total with preseason, with this tournament, with regular season playoffs, everything, I think I played 90 games.
Wow.
90 games and whatever that is, 9 months or 8-9 months, something like that. So, I mean, it was a full year. It was great. Anytime you can play a full season is remarkable. It's a blessing, honestly. Things just kind of have to fall perfectly for you. And they did for me this year. It was great. Didn't miss any games, had little things, but things that you can play with and get used to, I guess.
Yeah.
So by the end of the tournament, I was obviously tired and exhausted, physically and mentally. It's just, like I said, it's been long. 90 games is a lot. But then add in living in a hotel for the last 2 months of the season in Rockford because I got traded. So you live in a hotel and then go to the Worlds, and that's another 3 weeks in a hotel. And then, we went on a 1 week thing after, a little vacation. And that's basically 3 straight months of me living in a hotel. So, I mean, that people don't realize, but that weighs in on you too, having to eat out every meal. Cause I hate doing that. I like eating at home and having my own routine, but can't really do that when you're in a hotel. So there's a lot of things that kind of translate to you being physically and mentally kind of exhausted and tired. But like I said, I don't know, been off for maybe 2 weeks or so. I don't even know how long it's been. We were in England for a week, and then now I think we've been home for a week. So a couple of weeks, and I'm already bored and want to do stuff. So yeah, like I said, I'm just waiting for my gear to get shipped back. It should be here this week. Ready for next season already.
A couple of years ago when you were bored, you read the Bible. What was it, like 23 days or 21 days or something crazy?
23, yeah.
Okay. The Bible.
Yeah, the whole Bible, yeah. That was during COVID. Yeah. I think that was April of COVID, 2020.
Yeah, that's amazing. So the good thing is for you, I mean, like when you're bored, you wind up creating something really productive and really good.
I mean, I try to. I guess I would say there's not many people, players, but people in general that finish a game, have a good game, whatever, are thinking about one play that you could have scored on or one play that could have been different. And you sit there and wonder if that was the one that lost you the game. And that was me after the Germany game. The semifinal, I had a good game and scored and did whatever, but there was a play late in the game and I had an opportunity from the same spot that I had scored in the first, and the goalie made a save, like credit him, he did his job. And I went home, and instead of being like, oh, I did my job, I whatever scored and whatever, I went home and I think it was you. Yeah, it was you. I had you send me the clip because you had it taped on your TV, and I had to watch it 5 or 6 times and slow it down and kind of scroll. And then I screenshotted where I was on the ice, and I looked at it and I kept looking at it and trying to figure out where the goalie was. And but just there's not many people that do that.
Right.
There's not many people that are like me, I guess. I mean, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You can kind of be obsessive about things, but I don't think I would be where I am today or be who I am today without kind of being that a bit obsessive or perfectionist, whatever you want to call it. So in the summer, that's a lot of what I do. It's obsessing over things. And I think it was Conor McGregor who said it. I actually really liked the way he said it. He basically said, like, if you're not obsessed with this game, or you're not addicted, obsessed, whatever the word you use to this game, then what are you doing it for? And I don't know, I thought that was kind of a cool way of looking at it. Obviously there's other things in my life that are more important, of course, but I just feel like if this is what I'm going to do, then I might as well be all in. And that means obsessing over things. then okay, if that makes me better, then great. If I'm obsessing too far and it's hindering me, then that's a problem. But I feel like I got a good line. I have a good boundary. So yeah, the summer, this boredom time is a time when I look at video stuff. I think about stuff. I watch other guys a lot. Mostly, I don't even watch my stuff as much. I mostly watch other guys. I see what they're doing. I see how they're successful. Try to incorporate it in my game. Yeah, it works for the most part, I guess.
Man, I have so many questions based off of what you said, and I'll probably remember two of them. But who are the guys that you're studying right now that you'd like to emulate or pick up moves and things? And then I want to go back to that obsessing in Germany and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously everyone loves. I call them the three M's, the big M's. You got your McDavid, your Matthews, MacKinnon. Like those three guys are obviously fun to watch, and but it's hard to try to look at their game and compare it to yours because they're just different. Like they're essentially not human beings. It seems like they're almost like they're robotic, just with how good they are. So watching them is just trying to learn some things, but obviously you're not going to try to pick up a lot of things because they're just so different. For guys that I try to emulate more just because the style of play is a bit more similar, I would say there's a guy in Vegas who's killing it right now in the playoffs, Marcia Show. I really like watching his game. Braden Point in Tampa Bay, I like watching what he does. Barzell in New York, like his game, and then Marchand in Boston. Just kind of guys that are obviously three of them are righties, so that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Most of them they're not my small, but they're undersized, I guess, by the world standards.
Yeah.
But they play hard. They play kind of in your face. They're around the net. They have a good scoring touch. They can make good plays. So I enjoy watching the way that they use their speed and their skills and their smarts and just see how they're scoring goals. I mean, like I said, Marcia Show, I think he's got like 13 goals in the playoffs. So guys who can score in the playoffs are obviously more valuable than even those who can score in the regular season. And that's what Point has done in the last few years. I think he's got like, I don't know, 30 or 40 goals in the playoffs last few years or something. So you try to learn from the guys who have the most success, especially in the biggest moments.
Yeah.
And those are few guys that I enjoy watching and trying to learn from.
Yeah, man, speaking of, playoff success, that is something that I've seen you do in your career, including your time at Nashville with the Predators during that Dallas series a few years back when the Preds lost. And I know you'll say I'm biased and fine, but you can, as I've said, you can be biased and correct at the same time. But it was not just me that said during that playoff series that you were the best Nashville Predator on the ice for that series. And there was really no bigger moment for the Preds than that. You came away with points and goals and assists and made a huge difference for the Predators, or that series it looked like it would have been pretty ugly without you.
Well, thanks. I don't know. That was really my first real experience of NHL playoff hockey. So I'd played 2 games like 5 years before that. And it's kind of like you play 2 games and you're out. You're not really part of it. You're kind of just in and out. But that one was like it was like my real first experience. And that's something you dream of, is playing NHL playoff hockey, competing for the cup. That's what you dream of as a kid. Like, it's great to play in the NHL in the regular season, but you don't really go in the backyard as a kid, pretend you're whoever on whatever team and say like, oh, I'm playing in game 46 of the regular season. That's just not how it works. It's always, it's game 7. It's whatever playoff round. Usually it's the Stanley Cup final, but of course you got to build there. But I don't know. That was a fun experience. I didn't play game 1, got inserted in game 2 about 5 hours before I was let know that I was going to play. So that was exciting. I was just getting back from broken rib, was out for 3-4 weeks. So I hadn't played in a long time either. So that was exciting. Like, I'm playing again. But yeah, obviously I just finished my 9th season and I haven't played much playoff hockey, which is kind of frustrating to me. At whatever level I've been at, it's just been kind of weird. I've been to the second round once, and that was last year, and in 9 years. And it's kind of surprising because I've been on good teams and it's hard to win. Like, our sport is just so unique compared to just every sport. It's just from teams 1 to 32, there's not as big of a discrepancy as in other sports. It's like anyone can win at any given moment, especially in a playoff series. Now, when you got 7 games to decide it, it's hard to win. I mean, you see this year, Florida's taken down I guess, probably the three best teams in the East.
Wow.
And now they're where they're at, and they got in the playoffs by 1 point.
Wow.
I mean, it's just like anyone could beat anyone at any given moment. There's so many good teams, and sometimes people don't realize, well, maybe that team only squeezed in because maybe they had a lot of injuries or things, just they had a tough streak in November or whatever, but that doesn't actually tell you who that team is in April and May and June. So that's something that I would like to fix and clean up in my career, is to have deep playoff runs and obviously to win.
Yeah, well, it just seems like, as I've said before, and I will say again, I mean, anytime just a team gives you the opportunity, you have proven when given the opportunity, you are a clutch player and you're a playmaker. And there's really, I mean, this evidence right here in the World Championship is pretty good. I mean, that's a big stage. You're playing for your country and you come through with 14 points, 10 games, and lead the USA to a deep playoff run. I know it didn't turn out like you guys were hoping or we were hoping, but you swept the preliminary group, and that group was, to me, I'm not a hockey expert like you are, but it was stacked.
Yeah, it was a good group. I mean, that's obviously we didn't, win, and that's the one reason you want to go in that tournament and play. But we're the first American team in history to go undefeated in the round robin. So, I mean, that's something that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we were 8-0 going to the semifinals, and then the only two games we lost in overtime. And it wasn't your typical fashion, normal 5-on-5 overtime. It was 3-on-3 overtime.
Right.
Which to me is frustrating, because you don't ever want to lose a game in a 3-on-3 overtime or a shootout. You don't even want to win a game in that way. Like, you want to win when it's 5-on-5, when it's normal, real hockey. You don't want to take guys away or let it go down to the shootout, but unfortunately that's what the rules are. And we lost both the two games that we lost. They both were in 3-on-3 overtime. So
yeah,
it's pretty remarkable what we did, though. Like, I mean, we played Finland, who was the host and the defending champs.
Yeah.
Game 1, beat them. We beat a good Sweden team in overtime. Denmark was a really solid team. Germany was a really good team. Like, there's a lot of good teams in our group, which was great. We beat the Czechs from the other group in the quarterfinals, and they were a really good team as well. So we beat really good teams. But like I said, in these tournaments, you just never know. Anyone can beat anyone. And, went down to the last 4 teams that probably no one would have thought that, 3 of us would have been involved. I'm sure everyone thought Canada, but I doubt anyone would have thought Germany, Latvia, or us probably would have been in it. Maybe some would say us, but that's just the way it goes in hockey. There's a lot of good teams, and just depends on who's got the better day that one day.
Right. Well, man, again, you're opening up my mind to like hundreds of questions, but, and I'm trying to remember some of them for later as well, Rocco, but talk to me even just about the process of how you got chosen for this. And, as I look at it from the outside, obviously I'm a guy who's in your corner and just love seeing, the opportunity for you to prove yourself yet again. It seems like it's been something in your career. You've had more opportunities than necessary to prove yourself, and you do it again and again. But looking at it, I know you wanted to take last year Milwaukee to the AHL Cup, and you wanted to take Rockford to the AHL Cup. But and I got to see that, the end of that series against the Texas Stars. But if you had kept winning, you probably also would not have been playing for Team USA. So it's just interesting from my perspective to see. I was so disappointed, like, oh man, he's not going to win the AHL, the Calder Cup. And then, but then all of a sudden you're going to Finland and doing what you did there. So how did this opportunity even happen for you? And then I want to ask you about getting to be on the top line, reunited with Nick Bonino, and getting to play with Alex Tuch too. Man, that was huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably a few weeks before the tournament, there was interest that, potentially I could be selected to, play for that team. Obviously, it depends on your schedule and your team. If guys lose out early, it gives them a better chance to go. If guys are, keep playing on, then obviously someone else is going to have to take your spot. So I knew it was a possibility a few weeks before the season was over. Wasn't thinking about it. I was like, oh, that's cool. If it happens or I need it, that's great. But I was more focused on where I was. I was in Rockford. We weren't even in a playoff spot. We were in a playoff spot. Right. The battle to the very last day.
Yeah.
I think the season finished, Iowa had 77, we had 77, and Chicago had 76. So there's 3 teams within a point. So we squeezed in by a point.
Yeah.
So I wasn't focused on the Worlds. I just knew that, that was in my back pocket. If it happened, great. I didn't want to have to use it because that meant we were winning and going deep and making a run. Unfortunately, we lost to Texas in the first round, and I guess looking at it now, the timing was kind of perfect because in the moment it ended, we went back to Rockford, packed up, drove home, and then flew to Germany the next day. I was basically within 2 or 3 days, I was
Crazy.
off. And I remember the next day after we had lost, the GM texted me and said, "Hey, are you still interested in coming to Worlds?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." So now when you're getting on the plane, you're frustrated because the night before you just lost, your season's over. Now I got to make a switch. It's like, hey, you got to put the frustration in the past. Now that season's over. Now it's a new thing starting. Now it's like, I got to get my head back, and my season's not done. Technically, I got more hockey ahead of me. So it's a unique switch because I've never had to do that before.
Yeah.
Usually you lose and it's just like, oh, it's, a few days of just kind of being sad or whatever. But this one was like, okay, I got to put it behind me because now I got to play more hockey. Yeah. Packed, went home, grabbed my stuff, woke up I think I was home for 12 hours, got home at 9 p.m., left at 9 a.m. So, unpacked one suitcase, packed another one.
Yeah, real quick, parenthetically, let me ask you, like, it feels like a lot of guys would be after the grind of all those games, 80 plus games or whatever. Feels like a lot of guys would be like, no, thanks. I don't want to fly over and go play, 12 hours after, all this other stuff. So what is it about you that you're like, yeah, let's go?
I think there was a couple of things. Obviously I played for the U.S. national team growing up, between 16 to 18 years old. I played there for 2 years, and it's unique because you're playing for Team USA, not just a tournament here or there. It's like the entire season, 2 seasons, you're wearing Team USA in practice, in games, just like you are on Team USA. And then I played with them again in 2013, the U20s, and hadn't played since then. And so it's like you have this time of you play so much for Team USA, it's almost feels like it's routine, or it just becomes normal, to having this 10-year hiatus where you've never even wear the jersey at all. And you realize, wow, maybe I took it for granted. Maybe I didn't. And obviously I gave it my best and had a lot of success with them and it was awesome. But when 10 years go by, you think, man, maybe I thought that was just kind of forever. And now you're like, it's not. So it's just such an honor to be able to wear that jersey. 10 years is a long time, especially after you wore it for 2 full years in a row. And then another tournament basically the year after that. And so that was a big reason I wanted to go, was to play for my country, to be able to put those, colors back on, have that logo on my sweater. It's like the coolest thing you can do. It's pretty amazing. So that was one reason. And another reason is just in my situation, it was another opportunity for me to play games, hope to get exposure, hope to do it on an even, I guess, bigger level, with a lot of, NHL guys, a lot of good players, and hope to get a job somewhere for next year, kind of put your name back out there and use it as a stepping stone. And yeah, unfortunately we didn't win, and that's number one priority, but hopefully at least some good will come out of it. And this will lead me back into, playing in the NHL, which is, my goal every year. It's my goal. So hopefully this is a stepping stone back into that, and this will, have some good that came out of it.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, it would just be crazy if it isn't, although I've seen some crazy things in your career. I think you still, I didn't check this with my research department, but for the Nashville Predators, as far as I remember, you're either still hold the record for most goals in the game, or tied with 4. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think there's 3 of us. Yeah.
3 of them. Okay. Just so people, if you just Google or go to YouTube and look up Rocco Grimaldi and put in Spinorama goal or 4 goals for the Predators, you're gonna see just this guy has done some amazing things in his hockey career. So then to see you do it for Team USA, and now that you put it that way, since I've seen highlights of you from 10 years ago, really makes it just that much more special to get to watch watch, now and see what you did with Team USA. So it's amazing. It had better lead to an opportunity. It had better lead to just any hockey team that has seen you or known you or played against you. It's just obvious what you bring as a playmaker, but also you're a guy who you think skills, but you grind and you work hard and you hit. I mean, you do all those things that you think of as a hockey player. You're so much more than just a skills guy, which everybody wants a skills guy, but you do it all, and all the hustle and the vision that you have. And again, just going back to 7 goals, 7 assists. I mean, you do it all. And I mean, you kill penalties. You're great on the power play. You had that power play goal. When was that? At the end there?
Game.
Yeah, against. Oh man, that was one timer. That was beautiful, huh? I love that. All right, we may talk about that, but so talk to me about, you get over there. Team USA has already been practicing some. So me not understanding how everything works, I could think, okay, well, Rocco's going to go over there. They've already been practicing together. Maybe they already have some chemistry going. So, they're going to put him on the 4th line. They're going to put him here or there. You go over, what happens? Do they right away know, hey, we're going to put you with, the top line, or how's it work? Walk us through it.
So thankfully, they'd only been there for one day. They left the day before I did. They were trying to get me to New York to fly with them, but I had to drive my stuff home since I was in a hotel in Rockford. So they were nice enough to let me take the day, I guess, to drive my stuff home at least.
Yeah.
Drive 8 hours, drop my stuff off, pack a new bag, and get on my own flight the next day. But so that was good. It's not like you came in 4 or 5 days late.
Okay.
That would have been a little tougher. It was only one day. And, first day, it's usually, you've been flying for 9 hours. So it's not going to be anything crazy.
Maybe, I hope not.
Yeah. Maybe it's some teaching. So it's not like I missed a ton.
Okay.
I missed a little bit, but it's pretty quick to pick up stuff, especially systems. I mean, we've all played just about every system you can imagine in our careers. So it's just a kind of rewiring of the mind. You're used to one thing, you got to change and do another. But I got over there and I don't really know what I expected going over there, to be honest. I expected maybe to play bottom 6 role, 3rd or 4th line, and just play and have fun, enjoy playing for Team USA. And I didn't have any expectations. I didn't expect to be on the power play. I didn't expect to be on the top 6 role, let alone the first line. I didn't expect any of that to happen. I didn't expect literally any of this to happen.
Wow.
Obviously I knew that it was, if it was possible, I'd be ready for the opportunity, but it's not what I expected. So I went over there and I was on the 3rd line. I was like, okay, perfect. Exactly what I expected. I'm going to make the most of this. It's going to be great. And I think we practiced for maybe two or 3 days in Germany. And then we played Germany in a preseason game, and my line did a great job, whatever. And was happy with it. I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good line. We got some skill, we got some work. And I think this is a line that can be really good.
Yeah.
And you fly to Finland, and, you practice a couple of times before the real tournament starts. And then all of a sudden the next day I come in and I got bumped from the 3rd to the first line. And I was like, I have no idea why, but I'll take it. So yeah, it was kind of shocking to me. I'm not really sure.
But do the coaches, I don't understand communication in the hockey world. Do they just do that, or do they sit you down and say?
They just write the lineup on the whiteboard, and you just check for where you're at. Okay, I'm on the left wing. I'm 3rd line. Okay, I'm left wing first. Whatever. Don't say a word. So I went from the 3rd line, and I was 3rd line right wing, I believe, and then I come in the next day after that exhibition game, and I was 1st line left wing. So I was like, maybe I had a really good game. I don't know. I didn't think it was special. I thought it was good, but I thought a lot of guys played really good. So I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you have a couple of practices with the first line, or what? What did that look like?
We practiced for a day, maybe 2 days, and then we played the first game.
Okay. Could you tell in practice that you guys were clicking even better than that 3rd line that you were with? Or, I mean,
it's I've known Bones, Nick Bonino.
Yeah.
So I know him Bones for a long time. I played with him in Nashville, and I just know how he plays. So that was easy for me. It's almost like you go back to someone you're used to, you're accustomed with. So that was just easy. Yeah, you kind of had to re-figure it out. It's been 4 years since we played together or whatever. But
wow, that's weird.
I can't
believe it's been 4 years.
I know. I just know his game. I know the way he plays. and we have success. We had success together, and obviously still did. So that was easy. And then just kind of learning about Tuch. Obviously, he's an elite player. I think he had like 36 goals and 75 points or something, over a point a game in the NHL. So like he's very high elite. So you kind can kind of figure out what to expect from him. He's going to be making really good plays, high level plays.
Yeah.
Just a matter of kind of reading and reacting off of each other, because everyone plays kind of similar but differently. So you kind of figure out, I'll start kind of playing with him in practice or in the games, and I'll kind of be like, okay, I can see in this situation he usually does X, or in this situation he doesn't like to do, and then I kind of put myself where I need to be, or take myself out of bad ice that I shouldn't be in. It takes a few, probably 2 or 3 games to kind of figure it out, but
Wow.
For us, it was pretty instantaneous that we figured it out really quick. So that was really nice.
That's amazing. I would guess, like, during an NHL season, that it would take much more. I mean, preseason and some more games to really figure it out. So I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it's just not. But man, for you guys to figure it out that quick is pretty amazing.
I mean, I've kind of been a rover in my career. I played everywhere from the first to the fourth line. I've kind of played every position, left, right, center. Even this year, I played every position. I was all over the place. So it's easy for me to kind of adjust, to rewire myself. Okay, now I'm in a top 6 role. So now I'm going to be relied on to make more plays, to score more or whatever. So maybe you have a little more freedom. Bottom 6, okay, maybe you don't have as much freedom. So now I got to be more of a playing it smart, putting the puck deep, versus making that play that might be 50-50. Well, on the first line, maybe you make that play, or you try to make that play because you have that leash to make plays.
Wow.
But when you're playing with 2 guys that are elite players like Tucky and Bones, it's easy to play with them, especially when you already have chemistry with one of them from playing with them originally. You guys kind of figure each other out pretty quickly, especially at this level. It doesn't really take much.
Yeah.
It doesn't take too much time. Especially when, like, for good lines, it usually doesn't take much time. It's just kind of, I don't know what it is. It's pretty instantaneous for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why that is, but that's just kind of how it goes with lines that are good from the get-go.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, thinking of you and Bones, that's another thing that, I just learned mysteries about professional sports in the NHL. I mean, you, Bones, and was it Smitty? Was the
Craig
All-American
Smith,
line? Yeah, Craig Smith for
All-American
the
line,
Nashville, right? Isn't that what they called y'all in Nashville?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of people. Well, I saw that around. And that, that year that you guys were the same line, what was that, the third line maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Mostly. I mean, I did read, again, not just me, but a lot of people thought that was the best line for the Preds all throughout the season. I mean, and so to me, I'm like, if I'm an NHL GM, I'm like, man, there's a line already ready to go. Let's just get those 3 guys together and see what they can do here, because they did it for the Preds. But whatever, nobody's hiring me to be GM, so that's fine. All right, let's then talk a little bit about, and I still have other questions lingering, but man, that game against Finland, that I don't know how big the arena was. I don't know if it's 10,000, 15,000, but whatever it was, 99.9% Finnish fans ready for their team to beat the USA and to continue their great run. And you guys come out and, man, you get it done. And that assist, I want to talk about that assist, because that was the patented Grimaldi move, right? Weren't you? I mean, like that normally, no, not quite. Normally, what I see of that, you tell me, you know what I'm talking about.
No, I know, you're right. It was kind of similar to the move I do a bit, but when I got the puck and I looked up and I kind of looked back, I saw he was with me, and there was no question in my mind that I was going to pass. Like, it wasn't like I made the move and it didn't work, and I knew from the moment I touched the puck and looked up and saw him out of the corner of my eye, I'm going to make this move. You can tell because I didn't sell the move that hard, because usually I sell it a lot harder, but I didn't even sell it that hard. I just sold it enough to get him to come with me so I could throw it back to Tucky on the other side. So yeah, I mean, it actually started with a good defensive play. Like, we the five of us came back into the zone. I don't remember what happened. Stole the puck quick transition. OC threw it up to me on the wing. Tucky kind of disrupted both guys. I think the three of them ran into each other. That's how we had a 2-0. And then I dropped it to him and we scored. It was a big goal, made it 3-1 with like, I don't know, 9 minutes left or something.
Yeah.
So no, that was pretty cool. I mean, we didn't have our families there, so we didn't have anyone rooting for us there. It was the first game of the whole tournament. Winning gold medal champions in their building. They went up 1-0 kind of earlier on, maybe halfway through the first. And then I don't remember when we tied it, maybe in the second period, and then it was 1-1 into the third, and we won 4-1. And that win kind of gave us confidence as a team. It kind of gave me confidence because obviously, you know, expecting to be bottom six and then all of a sudden you're thrown in the first line. To me, even though I know what my capabilities are, you still kind of have these nerves and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, you know, don't want to mess this up. And I think the game that I played and obviously the assist and stuff kind of settled me down. And then going into the next game, having more success, then it really settled me down. And then all of a sudden I didn't really have those thoughts anymore, I guess. People be surprised that even when you're at this level, you still question yourself sometimes, or you have doubts or wonder, you don't want to, you know, make your line mates mad or do something that they don't like or whatever. And the first game settled me down, and the second game kind of solidified that I can play here, I belong here, and kind of just built confidence for me during the rest of the tournament. And then obviously built confidence for our team as well, because, you know, when you beat the gold medalists in the first game on the road, it's like, wow, we are a really good team. So a big first day for all of us.
Besides the success, and we're going to go through more of the tournament, but besides that success, like, what helps you with your mental toughness of overcoming those thoughts that everybody, I'm assuming like 99% of the top hockey players, NHL players, have those same sort of things. You have to prove yourself on the ice every night. So how do you, besides just having success, like mentally stay tough and, speak to yourself like, no, I belong? Or what do you do?
Honestly, for me, it's having the success in the real games that gives me the most confidence. Being able to make those plays, being able to help the team, have an impact on the team in a positive way, those just build confidence for me. So, I mean, being a part of the goal that puts you up by 2 with 10 minutes or whatever it was, it starts the confidence. It doesn't throw you up all the way and you're on a high, but it starts, it kind of lays the foundation, like, okay, I can do this. And then the next game, we kind of had a slow start against Hungary, a team you should beat, had a slow start. And then our line was great late in the first period, kind of regained the lead. And that kind of laid more of the foundation. And then, you score the next game or whatever it is. And it just keeps laying the foundation. And then at the end of the tournament, you're realizing like, wow, like, this is pretty amazing. Like, I would have never dreamed about this or expected this, but it's just those little confidence boosters, each game, a good play, whether that's a goal or an assist, but just a good play, a smart play defensively, getting the puck out, making a good read, having a good stick, like just little things kind of, for me, build on top of each other. And then when you feel the trust of the coaches, or you get the tap on the back from a player or whatever it is, it's just more things that kind of lay the brickwork. And, eventually you don't even need to think about the brickwork because it's already been laid, and you can just play and not worry about a lot of those things. You just play freely, which is kind of what you get to, but it takes some building to get to that point.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good stuff. All right. Go back to that assist that you dropped for Tuch. You said you knew right away you were going to do that. Like, you saw him somehow with your great vision, but why did you know you were going to do that? I mean, what was your thought process there versus some people would be like, man, I got a chance, I'm going to beat him for the goal. Why did you know you were going to drop it?
I just felt that it would be a tap in. Obviously, if it didn't work out, I would have looked like a complete idiot. So I'm glad that would have probably laid the foundation the other way for me. So I don't know. I just felt like it was going to work. I don't know. You just kind of know sometimes when something's going to work. I could just feel it was going to work. I think that was good, obviously for our team as a big goal, but for me personally, I think when you do something like that for your line mate or someone else, it kind of brings you two together. And then Tucky did the same thing to me in Denmark. He had a breakaway on the empty net and he looked over at me, gave it to me and let me. And like when guys do things like that, where it's like, they don't need to pass that. They don't need to give you that goal or that empty net, that tap in. It just kind of builds you together.
Yeah.
So I think that first moment kind of helped us, you know, because we're new, we haven't played together, right? So it kind of builds that trust with each other, or that, I guess, you know, we're both going to be unselfish this whole tournament and we're going to help each other be successful. So that was kind of, like I said, laying the foundation in that respect. And then he repays the favor. And then all of a sudden it's like, now you guys are like a bond, right? Like, it's great to get points and do that stuff. But when it's something kind of extraordinary, like when he just gives me the puck to put in the empty net, like that's above and beyond. And that makes me want to do it for him. You know what I mean? And when two guys want to do it for each other instead of like it's me versus you, as sometimes you feel in our world, in sports in general, for whatever reason, line mates are playing against each other. But when you have two guys that are playing with each other and for each other, even not even just with, but for, it builds a really strong bond and connection. And obviously I already had that with Bones. So I knew that was there, but now I needed to build it with the other guy. And that was just, like I said, laid the foundation. And the whole tournament, you could see like we were trying to help each other. It wasn't about me scoring. It wasn't about Bones scoring. It wasn't about any of us scoring. It was about us together, like being successful. And that's what makes a good line, is unselfishness.
Well, that says something about Tuch too, after that big year for the Buffalo Sabres that he had, that you referenced. I mean, that he could have come over and been like, no, I got to be the guy who scores all the goals or gets all the points and everything. So that says something about him as well.
Yeah, 100%.
If I was the Buffalo Sabres GM, as soon as I could talk to your agent, I might do that. You know, I mean, seeing that you guys really teamed well, looks like that could be a lethal combination right there as well. All right, I've got all my list except for the Denmark game. I've got the Hungary game was next, your goal and 2 assists. Right now I can't visualize those. But one thing, and maybe you remember something, or maybe you'll choose a different goal or assist to talk about. But one thing I love about your game is how much of it does start in the defensive end, in your own zone. It's amazing to me, like how you disrupt. And I think it's just understated. People don't understand the difference. I know your teammates understand the difference you make on defense, but you just see, if you look at the highlight reel, just, man, goals start because you've like tipped a puck or you've taken away a puck, whatever the case is. But I love that about you. Just so well-rounded on the entire, the skills that you have offensively and defensively. Do you, Hungry wise, the goal or 2 assists, man, help me remember, was one of those like stand out to you?
They all were pretty similar, to be honest, which was nice. The first goal, they were all from turnovers that we had good, hard forecheck, relentless. And I think a lot of times people think defense just means you got to be in the defensive zone or you got to be on your side of the red line, but you can play good defense in the offensive zone too, and then get a quick turnover, and now you're literally in the offensive zone ready to play. So that was all 3 of our goals. First goal, hard on the forecheck, their guy made a panic play, passed it to me in the middle. I had a chance to shoot, but there's a guy kind of coming towards me, and I saw Tucky on my left, so I tried passing to him. The original pass, the guy slid, and I kind of disrupted it, but it came back to me, and I had to reach for it, and then I passed to him. He just put it in the top corner.
Nice.
Second one, their guy tried to throw a sauce pass through the middle of the ice. Bones did a sick play where he put his stick out with one hand and batted it out of the air, and then I picked it up, kind of went around, was about to go behind the net, but saw that they left Bones alone in front, and I slipped him on my backhand, and he just put it top corner. Third goal, quick stuff at the net, was back checking. Our defenseman did a great ride and sweep and kind of disrupted the guy and poked it off his stick, and I was back checking. I just picked it up, turned, and shot it low glove. So they're basically the same goal. I mean, it's different, obviously, but very similar in terms of all 3 created from turnovers, whether that's from good sticks, from good gaps, or from relentless speed. And that's one way I enjoy playing, and it's annoying to play against for sure. But it's successful. And when you can cause turnovers like that, it gets really frustrating to be the other team.
Yeah, which is awesome. Do you think every hockey player like can replay and recall these plays with such precise this, that as you can, or is that like just sort of a strength of yours? You know, I hear of top level athletes that you ask them about, and you're smart, but you ask them about a play 5 years ago or whatever, and they just like start recalling what was happening. Is that just you, or do you find that is typical of other hockey players?
No, I would say it's probably me being different. There's definitely people
Okay.
that can do that. Um, I don't know how many would
Right.
do that, but obviously, like you said, elite people, like you hear Tom Brady can tell you every play he's ever made and the defense and who was where, like that's pretty elite. But in hockey, I'm sure there's a lot of guys that can do that. I don't think there's everyone does or can or
Yeah.
cares enough to do that.
Yeah.
But for me, like after a game, if I have a goal or assist or something good play that I made, I'll usually save it and then I'll watch it.
Okay.
And I'll keep watching it because for me that builds confidence, knowing that it tells you I can score at this level, I can play at this level, whatever. But it also shows me goals that I have, and maybe those are an opportunity to try that shot again or that move again
Yeah.
or whatever. Which is I guess why sometimes you see a similar goal that I'll score throughout the season. It's because I know that it's working. And
Yeah.
if it's working, I'm going to continue to do that, which is one reason why I was frustrated after the Germany game because I had just scored a goal in the first period. It had almost a very similar look, almost identical. The defenseman was a little different in his placement, the goalie was, but very
Okay.
similar. And I wish I would have just done it again. And, maybe he saves it. Maybe it doesn't go in at all and it doesn't matter that I
Yeah.
missed, but at least I would have known I had tried it again. I don't know. So
Okay.
I try to watch those things to learn from them and know what's open. Because usually obviously goalies are different, but they play similar in a lot of aspects. When they go from playing their normal play and their positioning to when you go below the dots, now they're in post play, which is they do different
Okay.
stances and different things. And that's stuff that I've been learning this year with different coaches and things. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I know most about what happens in a play because I watch them quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching. It's fun to watch. And it's nice to have good memories, but it helps you learn what's available for the next
Right.
time.
All right. Well, let's jump to two things that how do you eventually, when you talked earlier about being obsessive, which has helped you. But how do you eventually move on from, okay, well, that's a learning experience. Next time I'd just do the same thing or whatever the case may be. How do you kind of now put it aside? Like, do you take a day or two or a week, or does it just stay with you for a while? Like that shot that you're talking about.
Well, I mean that happened, and let's see, our game ended probably at 10 p.m. We had to play a game the next day at 3 p.m. So I didn't have time to take a day.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so no, I mean you watch it that night, you're like, that sucks. And then now you got to figure it out for the next day. I mean, that's
Okay.
just kind of the unique thing about our sport. I'd say us in basketball is so very similar because we play the same amount of games that, both play 82 games. It's a lot of
Yeah.
either 3 or 4 times a week you're playing every other day. So you don't really have time to dwell in the past. You just kind of learn
Okay.
to forget it.
Yeah.
When you're playing football, and so I would hate to play other sports like football and those because you only play
Yeah.
one game and then my
Yeah.
mind would just think about that game the entire week. And if it was a
Right.
good game, it'd be great, but if it was a bad game, it'd be terrible.
Right.
But
Right.
it's nice when if you have a kind of an off day in hockey, it's like, oh, I got to play the next day, or I only have one day and then I got to play. So you kind of just learn that in 82 games or whatever, I played 90 games this year, you're not going
Yeah.
to be the best player on the ice every game. You're not going to have a great game. You're not going to do what you wanted to do. You're not going to score every shot that you should have scored. You just kind of
Mm.
know that.
Yeah.
Even when you go through little phases too, I've learned. Um, Sometimes you'll have a great start to the season. And you're like, oh, I got 10 goals in the first month. And then sometimes you'll have 0 goals in the first month. But everything kind of evens it out if you kind of stick to with what works, things kind of even out. For whatever reason, you always go through a bad streak. I don't know why.
Okay.
It happens. You
Yeah.
might be playing the best hockey of your life and the puck just doesn't go in. Like
Yeah.
I think I scored, I don't consider them goals, but 2 empty net goals. So whatever, 2 goals, but I would consider it 0 in 11 games this year in San
Wow.
Diego. So I had 0 goals in 11 games. And then the next 10 games, I had 10 goals. So it's just like things are very random in hockey.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're because of you, sometimes they have nothing to do with you. It's just time and chance. And you got to realize that you're going to go through bad stretches of no goals in 10 games, and you're going to go through good stretches of, hopefully really good stretches. You have 10 goals in 10 games. But once I realized that a lot of these good and bad stretches are going to happen, you can't be too high or can't be too low. I can't be like, oh, I'm going to score every game now that I've, 10 and 10, or you score 2 goals one night. It's like, oh, I'm going to do it again this night, because you might not score for 10 games.
Yeah.
That happened to me a few years ago. I think it might have been maybe the year in San Antonio. I think I had a hat trick or something.
Yes.
And then I went like 10 games in a row with no goals. So it's like, it's just each game is its own entity. It's by itself. It has no correlation to the next game or the game before.
Okay.
And so that's how you kind of just put it behind you. Like, oh, that was a really great game. I'm going to enjoy that. But now it's a new game, so no one cares what I did last game. Yeah. Or that was a really stinky game. So for me, that's like, I'm going to make up for that game. So I would say that the crappy games are the ones that are better for me, because I want to make up for it.
Yeah.
I remember 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Nashville. We were playing Tampa Bay at home, went to overtime. He put me out for a shift. I was shocked. I had never played overtime. It was my first shift, and I got scored on. Stamkos to Kucherov, backdoor, lost my guy. Kucherov scores, empty net, game over. And I was like, there goes my opportunity to play in overtime. And I've always loved overtime, and I'm good in overtime.
Yeah. Right.
And there's just one small 2-inch window lapse of judgment, and elite players will make you pay for it. And all I did was go home and be like, obviously that really sucks, but now I got to really make up for it the next game. We played the New Jersey Devils, had a goal and assist +4. We won 6-4. So it's like, wow, those are the games you really want to make up for. Yeah. And know that that game doesn't have an effect on this game, but it should affect me in a way that I'm going to be doubly motivated to make up for what I feel like I lost the game.
Yeah. That's funny. As you're talking, like, I'm thinking of all sorts of memories, because I'm like, was the San Antonio hat trick, was that the Star Wars game? Or
it might have been. Yeah.
And then the Devils game, was that when you faked out PK when he was
I chipped it by him and breakaway. Yeah, that game.
Yeah. Amazing. When in your career did you realize, you've been playing hockey since you were 0 years old, basically. When in your career did you realize, like, you can't get 2 up and 2 down?
Honestly, I think it's more of a pro thing. Like you've been told this your whole life. You've been taught it, not too high, not too low, and stay even keel. It's just cliche things you've been told your whole life.
Yeah.
But when you get to pro and you play that many games, you just don't have time to enjoy it or not enjoy it. And it's just funny because people don't realize, like, athletes' lives in general is very up and down. Like how this season's going or how you're playing individually kind of dictates your mood. It kind of dictates your family's mood.
True.
A lot of times. And you could be really happy for a week or two and then have one bad game. Now it's like 2 days of like, you're pissed off or you're kind of a jerk or whatever.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, but it's very up and down. Like the season's so up and down. But just because you're having a bad start or you're not playing great doesn't mean by the end of it, you're not going to be playing great and your team is going to be having success. Like it's just so random. You can have a month in November that's amazing. You have the hottest month and you got 10 points a game and you're amazing. And then you get a few months later and you're in February and you have no points. You can't hit the net. You can't even get close to the net. And it's just like, there's no correlation. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Whether that's because of, I don't know, maybe you were playing against teams that weren't as good at the time, or maybe you're playing against really good teams, or maybe your line mates are sick that day, or, people don't realize that. That even happened in the Worlds, that both my line mates were sick as dogs for a couple of those games, and people don't know that. So it's like, people don't know there's a lot of ins and outs for why things do or don't happen.
Wow.
Guys battle through sicknesses or injuries or just a lot of things on a daily, and don't make excuses for it because nobody cares.
Right.
You're basically, we're paid to bring results, bring wins, and be successful. And it doesn't matter what you're going through. So,
wow, that's good stuff. So there was one game where Bones, it was a back-to-back. So he sat out. Was that when he was sick? Or I thought maybe they were just arresting him just because,
he sat out the France game, but no, he was sick as a dog the game before that. Maybe even the game before that. Wow. It was bad. Yeah. He was really sick, and then Tucky was sick right after that too. So yeah, and Bonesy he battled through an injury too. First game he got hurt. I'm not gonna say what, but he battled through that too, and that was pretty impressive that he did because yeah,
that is impressive. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, more World Hockey Championship. Let's see. You got after Hungary, we talked about that. Germany, the USA wins 3-2. They seem to play your line, and maybe that was when people were sick or hurt, but really, I don't know, tight, or it seemed like they just focused on my very limited understanding, but focused on shutting you guys down. It seemed like, I don't know, what was it like on the ice?
Yeah, no, they line matched against us, not just the line, but also the deep pairing as well. They put Mo Seider, who plays for the Red Wings. He's an elite defenseman. He won not this past season, the year before, he won the Rookie of the Year. Great young D man. He's going to be, one of the best in the league for a long time. So they matched him and then another line. I think Sturm was the centerman of that line. He plays for Sharks. He's a shutdown guy. He won the Cup last year with Colorado. So he's good players that are good defensive players too, not just high offensive players. Because a lot of times it's easier to play against offensive guys because you're both going to be taking risks. Yeah, you're both going to be kind of looking to score. But when you're playing against a strictly defensive person, it's a lot harder because they don't play much risk. They'll maybe put a puck deep instead of trying to, go in a rush and score, and then they'll be sitting back. Yeah, and that's a lot harder to play against. They played us tight that game, but it was a good resilient win for us because we were down the whole game, and then I think we tied it midway through the third, and then scored on the power play with 5 minutes left. So that was a pretty cool win. And we played back to back, and they got a day off before, so we were a bit tired. You could tell you could see it. But yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you get a day off or, no game the next day. And then May 17th, you play Austria 4-1. I've got you down for a goal where Bones did kind of a wraparound that you finished. Can you tell us about that goal? And was he trying to pass or was he trying to shoot, you think?
No, I don't think he was trying to pass. Okay. I won't give him credit where he doesn't deserve it, but he wouldn't take it anyways. But no, I think it was Mackey at the point, made a pass down to Bones below the goal line. Bones, he came around the net, tried to make a stuff play. And sometimes it works great when you don't get your stick fully, like your toe fully around when you're making a wrap, because then it kind of throws it through instead of wrapping it to the net. Yeah. So he tried to do a stuff play, and it, instead of hitting the net, it went through the crease, and my D-man started kind of filtering back to the net, and I stayed kind of near the back door, and it kind of I think it went through two guys or something, and I was just on the back door and had to get it upstairs because the goalie's sliding, and I think I made it 1-0 maybe at the time. So it was a big goal. Yeah,
huge. Okay, and then let's see, there's Denmark in there that I didn't have in my notes, and that was the empty net you talked about. That Tuch just very generously.
I looked back for him too. I went to give it back to him. I thought he was just getting me like an assist or something, and he wanted it back. And I went to look for him, and he'd already gone to the bench. He literally went to go skate it off. It's like, okay, I'll take it. Just gave it to me and just see you later. It's all you.
That's really cool. Funny. Man, that is cool. I like that. All right. And then May 20th versus France, you guys obviously dominated and you got a goal there. I don't remember anything particular about that goal, but you guys dominated them. Yeah. Was there anything about that goal that you?
No, that was the one when guy shot it, went over the net, and then the guy kind of put it back in front, and it was just about to go under the goalie, and you just kind of reached my stick underneath it quick and poked it in. That was a frustrating game. We won 9-0, but that was a game where I felt like personally, like I was making a lot of good plays and doing good things, but the puck just wasn't, like I said, just one of those days it wasn't going in. Like I'd make a great pass and he wouldn't score, or they'd make a great pass to me and I wouldn't score. And it's just like, and then you'd watch other goals and it's like, shoot it from 40 yards out and it's like, it squeezes 5-hole and you're like, what the heck, man? He just like glove saved me from like point blank, and then he's letting that squeaker. So it's just one of those games that was just frustrating because you're doing the right things and it's not working. But it was good that we got a win, obviously.
Right. All right. So then a couple of days off, right? I think no, maybe Denmark is before France. Okay. Well, May 23rd. This is the biggest game the prelims once you bumped off Finland versus Sweden. This is going to be for first place in the group, going to determine the bracket. And you have a huge assist. I mean, any point in that game's huge. Remind me of that one, because in my head I might have the wrong one, but I felt like you kind of skated it in, deked around one or two guys to get that assist. What do you remember? Maybe I'm not even thinking of the right goal.
I think you're thinking of Germany, but that was it was on a power play. I was on the left wall and kind of walked it into the dot and then slipped it to the goal line guy, and he went through his legs. Nice play, made the shot, and there's an easy rebound, and our middleman jumped behind the D and put the puck in the net. Or maybe I don't know if he did I think he went through the legs and shot it, and then it was a rebound. But it was like a quick play and big goal for especially our power play too, because we're the second unit. So it's always nice when the second unit can chip in and score.
Yeah. Very nice. All right. So that's huge. Now you go into the knockout phase and you play the Czech team, and big win there. You've got an assist. I don't remember what that assist looked like. Do you?
It was off a face-off. Yeah. It was like a kind of a loose puck, and I just jumped through and tapped it back to our D, and he put a nice sifter to the net, and it went top corner with a nice little shot right through all the bodies. The goalie probably couldn't pick it up and just went right over the shoulder.
Yep, that's right. I remember it now because you're going on the TV screen right to left. Seems like a lot of the highlights I remember on the TV screen, you're going left to right of this tournament. But all right, so then you go Germany. Man, huge game for you. Unfortunately, like you said, overtime. Quick, another parentheses question. You talked about so I'm guessing like in tournament play, you're not going to want the 3v3, but during regular season, AHL or NHL, I mean, that should be of benefit to you. You don't mind those kind of 3v3s, right?
No, it's fine. I mean, do that in the round robin. That's great.
Right.
We want to play all night in the round robin, especially you got back-to-backs and stuff. But regular season is fine. But I guarantee if you ask most guys, would you want to win the Stanley Cup in a shootout? Like, yeah, of course, you'll take it, but that's not the way you want to win. You want to win normal 5-on-5, normal hockey. I mean, big tournaments, big games, like they should be, I don't know, normal. What the typical game would be, I think. That's just my own viewpoint. Maybe you don't want it to be continuous, so the game doesn't go all night. That's fine, but at least maybe give you 1 20-minute period of 5-on-5, and then you can do your shootout or whatever you want to expedite things. But
well, to me, that
preference.
Mine too. Just thinking back in my watching, I watch a lot more hockey since I got to know you. I mean, hockey's the sport I watch most by far. But back when I was just more of a casual, like, the Stanley Cup is going or whatever. I mean, years ago, I can remember just a game that I can't remember if it was a game 7 or just a game that went for so many extra periods in the playoffs. And it's just incredible to me. And I love all sports, but there's no other exciting finish than, sudden death, but it just goes on until it stops and it's just over. And I just can't think of a better moment in sports. And I love a lot of sports, but that's it for me. So it's a shame that you guys didn't, get a chance in the semis and then in the third place game to do that. But you had a big, again, they're all big, big goal and big assist. I love both of those. The assist that, that I was confusing earlier looked to me like you drew in 4, I think I'm correct. 4 Germans kind of came on you that set up the goal. Talk us through that assist.
I got the puck before a red line and just kind of brought it to the middle of the ice. And like you said, when you're in the middle of the ice, it just brings bodies to you. OC had just gotten off the bench, so he was busting down the left wing on a head full of steam, and I slipped it through the one guy to him, and then he made a really great pass all the way through backdoor to Tucky. It was a great pass. And Tucky just put in the empty net. So it was overall a nice play.
Yeah, nice. All right. And talk to us about that goal. That was a lot of fun too, man.
Yeah, it was a bad turnover and a bad change by them. guy threw one kind of through the middle, soft, and Tucky just picked it off and kind of just threw it in front of me to lead me. And their D had changed, so it kind of was a bad turnover and a bad change at
Okay.
the same time. So they both kind of worked out
Yeah.
for me. And then went in and just kind of took a slap shot from just about the tops of circles or something. And
Right.
yeah, you're up 2-0, 3 minutes into the game, and things are going great. And then all of a sudden things start going not so great. So that's
Man.
even more frustrating when you lost that
Right.
game after that start.
Right.
When you're
Right.
like, wow, this is like you make that 3-0. Like, to be quite honest, we make that 3-0, that game's over.
Mm.
Like, we score another goal in that first period, that game's literally going to be over 10 minutes into the game. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Because they're going to start feeling like we can't play with this team. They're going to start doubting themselves, and we're going to start feeling good.
Yeah.
But then when you make it 2-1, belief comes back, things change.
Yeah.
So unfortunate.
Man, you have a mental understanding of this game. It amazes me that if you decide eventually to get into coaching, I think you would be an elite level coach if you choose to decide it. But I remember a couple of years ago watching the Stanley Cup, and it was when Jordan Binnington and the Blues won, and I remember you just saying, I'm watching because I'm cheering for Binnington and the Blues, and I'm like stressed out. I think the Blues were up maybe 3-0, and I think you may have texted. I don't even remember if it was after the game or during the game, but you're like, oh, it's over, and here I am as a fan watching, and it's like in Boston, and I'm like, it's not over. It's not, and you're like, oh, you could tell. And you were like saying it way back in the first period. You just knew, which amazes me. One other thing that amazes me before we talk about your approach in the Latvia game and scoring 2 goals and wind up with, leading the world championship for points is, it also amazes me about you just looking back on your career. And when I look at your time with the Preds, when you had that really big year on that All-American line or whatever, and what you did in the playoffs against the Stars and everything. And then I think the next year maybe is when you scored maybe it's that year. No, it had to be the next year, scored the 4 goals or whenever it was. To me, what amazes me about you is like, this guy is an elite hockey player, and he's going to continue to be elite, like at this level, like he's just going to continue to do that. What amazes me is, this year, in a year that a lot of us maybe would have been really frustrated, you're playing for San Diego, a team that struggled this year, and yet you are actually improving and getting better, and that amazes me. I don't know if you want to talk about, if you mind talking about some of the, I got to meet with you in San Diego a couple times this year, and just the joy it brought me seeing you talk about what you were working on and learning. Where I just feel like most players would be like, here I am, I'm one of the best, in the world. I'm good at my craft, and that's it. But you just keep like searching, like, no, I'm going to get better. Can you just talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had points in my career where I've moped around or, haven't loved playing and maybe didn't even want to play anymore at times. And you've been
Yeah,
around for some of the lows.
sure.
But I just think that I've given too much to this game. I put in too much time. I put in too much effort. My parents have put in too much time and effort. My wife's been through too much with me in pro. There's just been a lot of people that have given me too much, coaches, friends, just friends, people that are supporting me, to just kind of quit and kind of just have a bad attitude and be done, or just be like, yep, that's my plateau. That's as good as I'll get.
Yeah.
I just think that if you're going to be able to do this for a living, which is it's awesome. You get to play a game for a living. Like, you get to do something that you love. A lot of people don't go to work thinking, I love my job, but
Yeah.
I love it. Like, it's great. I love hockey. Always have, always will.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to be able to be blessed in a way that I can do something that I love every single day, then why would you not give everything you are to it? And like I said earlier, kind of be obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I'm 30, and for some people that's old. Like, in sports world, when you get to 30-ish, it's like you're old. But like, I feel better now than when I was 20. Like, I wish there was a lot of things about me now, on and off the ice, that were when I was 20. Like, I just wish there's a lot of bits about me now, but that's growth, right? That's life. You learn, you grow, you develop, you
Right.
hopefully become better as a person, as a player.
Yeah.
Was fortunate enough to be put in contact with a guy, and we would watch every game that I played. I think I started meeting with him in February. I went through that 10-game skid, and then I met with him and I started a 10-game heater, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Not saying it was all him or not, but definitely a lot. I credit him for some of that. Just watching video with him, having him show me things that I may not have picked up on my own. Because sometimes I'm thinking about one thing and he's thinking about another, and he'll be asking me, well, in this situation, what were you seeing? What were you thinking?
Yeah.
And it's just good to have someone like that to kind of give you a new perspective, a fresh perspective, someone who knows more about goalies, their style of play, and when they're going to be in the butterfly, when they're going to be standing up, when they're going to be whatever, how he teaches defensemen to play rushes so that I know that in these situations, a defenseman's going to do this or not. As much as the game is reading and reacting, there is a lot of being prepared before a game, knowing who you're playing against, what their tendencies are. So, like, for example, I've played with a lot of guys, and now when I play against them, I know their tendencies. I know if he likes to make this move in this situation. I know that he likes this shot. I know what his breakaway move is. I know. So you just kind of know these things. And maybe they won't do that every time, but for the most part, it's a pretty common staple in their game. And I have those staples too. Like, we all have them, but
sure,
if you don't study those, you won't learn and get better. And this guy just kind of helped me to learn some of the things that guys are trying to do against me, how I can be more successful, how I can open up space for myself, how I can open up space for those on the ice with me, draw two guys to me, kick it out. Now he's got no one on him. It's been really great, honestly, and I'm excited to keep working with this guy. And I think he's gonna. I haven't met him in person, which is kind of funny. I've just Zoom with him every week. We watch the games, and he'll be coming out here this summer and getting on the ice with me in person and showing me some stuff. And it'll be rewarding for sure. I got a lot of people like that I can work with, which is great.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay. All right. I want to come back to that obsessive thing, but I also just want to ask you for a freebie when you talk about, things that you would change or wish you could change, or that you've grown or learned since you were 20. What's one thing you can share with us that, oh man, I wish, or now I'm doing this. What's different?
I wish I would have known what the process was going to be before I got here better. Okay. I think when I signed, you just kind of assume like you're going to play in the NHL. You don't even think about the minors. You don't think about anything but like playing in the NHL. Like, that's the goal.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been more prepared, thinking, hey, you're going to play in the minors, whether that's for a month, a year, or 2 years, whatever. But that doesn't mean you're going to play there forever. But when I first got there, it almost felt like I'm not good enough to play in the NHL, and that's why I'm here. But sometimes that's not really what the case is. That's not why. Sometimes there's contract issues, there's body count issues, there's too many people, there's just a lot of things that can go into it. Maybe they want you to play top 6 minutes in the minors instead of fourth line minutes in the NHL for the year, just to make you play more and build more confidence. There's just a lot of things that I guess I didn't think about. It was more like I'm not good enough to play in the NHL, that's why I'm here, instead of like, this can be used as a good opportunity. And so I think my first few years, obviously I gave it everything I had and I worked hard and tried to get better, but I think attitude wise or mentally, I don't think I was exactly what I wish I was. And then you look at me now after playing 4 years in the NHL or whatever, and then being in the minors, almost you think it would be opposite, where it's like, oh, I've been there and I've done that. Why do I need to prove it again or keep doing it? But I just know now that it just matters what you do with that day, that year. Like, it doesn't matter what you did 4 or 5 years ago. It doesn't matter how many games you played years ago. It doesn't matter your experience. It just matters what you're doing now. And if I want to be a role model to a lot of people, but just in general, it's like my kids one day, I can't look them in the eyes and be like, yeah, your dad at 29, 30 years old just kind of packed it in and said, that's enough.
Yeah.
No, he actually continued to get better, continued to strive to work harder, to figure things out better on the ice, to obviously to be a better person. But I just feel like if I want to look them in the eyes when they're going through tough times, when they're older or whatever, I have to have gone through them the right way first. I feel like it's when someone's trying to give me advice, if they haven't been through something and gotten through it, then their advice doesn't mean as much to me because they don't have the experience to talk.
Yeah.
And I've obviously had a lot of downs in my career, definitely more downs than ups, I would say. And now it's about how do I handle those downs? How do I grow from those downs? How does my attitude develop from those downs? So that now I can be, my platform is more reachable to a lot of people. You know, I'm not LeBron James who just everything is just great and perfect because you're special. Like, you're a special athlete. You know, I've had to work and grind and do a lot of things that, you know, some guys like that never will. Yeah. And that just makes it easier to talk to people because most people are like that. They're not in the 0.001% of being special. They're like you and me. They got to grind. So I think that makes my testimony stronger and makes me more relatable to people.
Yeah. Oh man, some good stuff, man. I love it. That is awesome, Rocco. All right, I'm still going to come back to the obsessive thing and your faith. And maybe we don't have time to talk today about all that God has been really teaching you and your hunger, your obsession with getting better at this game and enjoying this game, but also like staying on track with God, and not just staying on track with God, but your education. So we might have to come back and do that another time pretty soon. If you're up for it, got to keep you at number one on the Very Bold Radio and Podcast. Yeah, I think if we can plan to do that, and maybe later in the summer, but anyway, we'll figure that out. Still want to hold on to the obsessive thing and want to ask you about then going into Latvia. Like you said, you played Germany late at night, and then the next day you're playing early against Latvia. And the team has just lost. Hard to imagine that the team, whereas Latvia is now playing for a bronze medal. They've never medaled. I don't even think they've ever made it that far, maybe in the Worlds. And was that in Latvia? Like, they never talked about on TV, or was that in Finland that you guys played them?
We were in Finland the whole time.
Okay.
All right. Their fans traveled.
Yeah, they did. So I literally thought, oh man, they made the USA fly to Latvia. But so they're playing for everything. And you guys as a team, I'm imagining it would be hard to come back that soon after a disappointing loss and get up for that game. But it's still a great game. What can you tell us about that game? You wind up with 2 goals, which clinches you being eventually clinches you being the leading scorer for the Worlds. What can you tell us about that game? That second goal, whatever we talked about a little bit before.
I mean, that game was hard to get up for. I mean, you go to that tournament for one reason, that's to win. You know, some people can celebrate silvers and bronzes and whatever. Personally, that I don't. I mean, I have silver and bronze medals from whatever back in the day when I was a kid in roller hockey tournaments and stuff. You have them, but they're tucked kind of in the back, you know, they're not on display. I don't know. It's great if people are, you know, celebrating, you know, second, third place. That's awesome if that's the best you've ever done and whatever. But for me, it's hard. It's hard to get up for those games as a team because we were so disappointed. And like, we came there for one reason, and getting third place or fourth place or second place, it still doesn't matter. Second place or 10th place, it's not first place. So that was hard for us because we were so heartbroken. It's 11 p.m. the game's done, and then you got like 12 hours and you got to play this game against a team who was playing like it was for the gold medal. So it was just hard for us to match that intensity. And obviously, like, you know me, like, whether we're playing a ping pong game in my garage or something, like, I'm going to do everything I can to win. It doesn't matter that it's for first or 12th place. Like, I don't care. I'm going to try to win. But it's just different. You know, it's hard when especially when you have a heartbreak, like an overtime loss, a shocking loss. They score the minute left to tie it. And you're just like, I want to crawl into a hole and be gone. And now you got to get up for another game. And, for me, I just like, it's hard, but I knew that there's always something to play for. There just always is. And for me, it's not like, you know, I was playing because I wanted to get third place, you know, third, fourth place to me is the same, but I wanted to win. Obviously you want to win every game. It doesn't matter what you're playing for. But I think sometimes people look for guys who respond when the situation is bad. they kind of look for when things don't go your way or aren't going your way. Like, what's the response for whatever reason in hockey? That's teams and people look for players who respond to negative things. And that was a very negative thing, losing the way we did, and 8-0, and then you lose with, a minute left and then an overtime.
Right.
And I think people look at the response. And for me, I knew I had to put that behind me, and we had another game. I had one game left. I got to play one more hockey game for my whole season, game 90 or whatever. And might as well use it as an opportunity to play with that Team USA jersey on one more time, because like I said, it'd been 10 years. So maybe it'll be 10 years again, and maybe it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
Why would you not at least give it everything you have, potentially playing your last game with that jersey on? So even though it was hard to get up for that game, because you felt like your tournament was over, and this was just like a consolation game for no reason.
Right.
There's always something to play for. You really look at it and think about it and kind of, peel back the layers of what you're playing for. So at the end of the day, we didn't, once again, we lost in the 3-on-3 overtime.
Right.
But like I said, it's hard when you have one team who's playing for everything and one team who's just, playing. Obviously, we wanted to win, of course. I'm not saying anyone was not.
Right.
But mentally, you could just tell. I mean, they had 16,000 fans. We had 25. Like, it was the loudest game of the tournament.
Wow.
And of every game that we played, it was the game that probably mattered the least, essentially, because every game you're playing in the round robin, if we didn't win any of those games, we wouldn't have gotten first in the division or whatever. So it's just funny because you just see the difference in the teams. Even when we scored, it was like we were excited, but it wasn't the level of excitement that they had. It was, and that's tough when you're playing against someone with that kind of passion, when you guys are still heartbroken about something.
Yeah.
It's tough. And I mean, we battled and we did everything we could, and obviously didn't have some bounces go our way or calls or whatever, but the guys played their hearts out, and just a fluky bounce in overtime. And that was it.
Right. Wow. All right. So what was your other goal in that game? I mean, she had the one-timer on the power play. What was the other goal?
I just came off the bench, and Scotty made a nice pass, and I kind of walked it and kind of kept going left to right and waited for an opening, and then shot it kind of back against the green.
Okay.
Like a wrist shot.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So then for you, like, man, you're heartbroken from the night before, and you score those two goals that put you individually in, this stratosphere of only 4 USA players, one of 4 that have ever led the World Hockey Championship in points. What is that like for you? I mean, that's a big personal accomplishment, but now you've just come off, 2 hard losses or whatever.
Yeah, I did not know that at the time for sure.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea about the 4th person in U.S. history. I had no clue. I'm pretty surprised by that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool anytime your name is mentioned with Patrick Kane. So
yeah,
it's definitely extremely special. It's a cool accomplishment, but the accomplishment that we wanted was they haven't won a gold medal since 1933. They hadn't won a silver since I think it was 1950.
Okay.
So, I mean, you win that Germany game, you at least solidify something that had never been done in 73 years.
Right.
At least getting a silver medal, which, like I said earlier, silver or bronze or whatever, it's still not, you don't accomplish the goal. It doesn't matter. But that would have been really cool to be a part of the first team to win. And I think it was, exactly 90 years.
Wow.
So that's something that's like you look back on, and it's like, man, that's like, we just missed history. Like, that would have been so cool to be basically the only team, because no one even knows who was on the team in 1933. I couldn't name one player. I guarantee nobody could, probably.
Right.
So that would have been really special to be able to do that with the group of guys we had. It was a really nice group of guys. Everyone was super close and super selfless. And
that's nice. Yeah.
It's frustrating that we lost the way we did. And obviously it would have been nice to come home with something and not nothing. But like I said, at the end of the day, we didn't come home with the only medal that mattered. And it's tough. Like I said, again, it's tough to have heartbreak and then 12 hours later have to refocus. That's a different level of heartbreak than what I've described with, I didn't have a great game, now I got to figure out the next game. That's basically like, I just lost and have no chance of winning the Stanley Cup, and now they're making me play another game. It's a different level, and I thought we did a good job of turning the page, but you're never going to fully turn the page because mentally, you know that what you just lost the night before is over. You can never win it again. You can't get it back.
Yeah.
And that's always hard. And people don't realize that.
Right. All right. Did you have anything else? Sorry, kind of cut you off there.
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. We'll kind of turn the page unless you have anything else to talk about for the tournament, and just finish with this. You talked about obsessing, for hockey. And I know that, you also said, there's other things more important to you. I know your faith and your family is more important, but I actually like, and maybe not everybody would agree with this, but I like that you feel obsessive about hockey, because I believe sometimes Christians, right or wrong, get sort of a rap of they don't care enough. I've seen that across sports of or whatever they put as soft or not as competitive or just doesn't mean as much. And so I really appreciate that, it means a lot to you. So I don't know I don't have a question if you have any comment on that, but I've seen that kind of rap on Christians. So I love that that's not you.
Oh, that's an interesting thing to think about. But no, you look at the Bible and they were called to not just have this walk with God, but they were called to do great things with the role that they were given.
Yeah.
That starts all the way from the very beginning, right? Like Adam was given the task to tend the garden, to name the animal, tend the garden, be in charge. God basically said, here, be in charge of the earth. It's a big job. Obviously, if it didn't matter, he wouldn't have given that job. Moses was commanded to be an excellent leader.
Right.
David, an excellent leader, an excellent warrior. Jesus talks about the talents numerous times.
Right.
10 talents, 5, 1 talent. And, I take that in terms of just what I've been given, right? And he also says, I know Spider-Man gets the credit, but Jesus said it first about to whom much is given, much is expected. So I know personally that I've been given much. I've been given a talent for this game and skill set for this game and a hunger and a passion. And I think hard work is also something you're given. Like anyone can work hard, but some people, God has instilled hard work. And thankfully I have that instilled hard work in me. So why would I not give it everything I have to glorify God with what he's given me? So at the end of the day, it's all about glorifying him. And if I'm not using everything he's given me, then I'm not really glorifying him, because I'm not fully using the talents he's blessed me with.
That is so good. That is so good. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, give us just a real quick summary, which will set up for if you're able to talk later in the summer, I will be, but just about what you're doing with your education. Give us a quick summary, a tease, so we can talk about that more down the road.
Yeah, I'm working on my master's right now in Christian apologetics. Started it March of 22, I believe. So about just over a year ago. It's a 2-year program, but I'm going to take more than 2 years because it's a lot, especially when you're playing games and stuff. It's a lot. So I'll probably finish in 25, I believe. I can't remember. We scheduled it out. I can't remember if it's fall or spring, but I'll be done in 25. It's been awesome. It's been really rewarding. Grown a lot in a lot of areas, learned a lot of new things. Just like I said earlier, building the foundation, continue to lay kind of stone upon stone, brick upon brick. And just like I do in the hockey world, that's what we have to do in our faith too. We're called to grow and to chase after God, get to know him better, learn who he is more and more each day, and be able to defend our faith, especially in our culture today, which seems to be very ungodlike. It doesn't seem like God's a very big part of the equation anymore. He's kind of getting pushed aside, and people have more questions. So we need to have more answers. And that's one thing that the degree is helping me learn.
Well, cool. Well, I'm glad you're going through that, even though I have my master's of divinity from many decades ago. Anytime we get to sit down and talk, I'm learning something from you that you're learning, or whether I'm reading one of your papers. So I'm benefiting from your education. Please don't bill me for that, but I really, I really appreciate it. And I'm just, man, I'm just so proud of who you are. I'm honored, truly honored to be in your corner and Abby's corner, just cheering you all on and praying you on and getting to just enjoy what God is doing in your life and watching the story continue to unfold. And at the end of the day, I know ultimately your story is going to be incredible no matter what, because God is going to use you and has used you in mighty ways. Even go back to that first interview we did in, I guess, 2016, I guess. You talking about going to hockey camps and whoever your roommate was would get saved just because you're talking about Jesus, and just seeing God continue to use you. And now with this hunger and thirst to grow in apologetics and everything you just said, it's just going to be awesome to see that, what that lane looks like. It's going to be awesome to see what this hockey story continues to unfold. I easily still picture you. I mean, I can do it right now. I couldn't tell you the uniform, but picture you, hoisting the Stanley Cup and giving a sweet little kiss to it. And obviously that's going to be God and you and the right opportunity, just any opportunity that you get. But I easily picture that. And I can't wait to see what team, if that is a part of God's plan, that happens. But any NHL team would be, I'll leave it positive, very smart to sign you and let you do what you do and let you compete. One last thing just about your hockey, but I also see it just in your faith and in your life. The one thing I can see, and I'm trying to think if it's easier in person or if I can see it on TV too, but in person, it's a little bit easier to see that you elevate the effort of your team around you. Like I can see that you elevate, obviously it's obvious you make your teammates around you better because you're a team first kind of guy and you have such vision and mental awareness of the game. But I have seen time and time again, just like you play so hard, you can tell like other players try to rise up, to be at that level of effort. It's amazing. So, and I see that will carry over in everything you do with what you're learning about your faith and apologetics. It's already sharpened me. It's going to sharpen many others. So I'm excited to see what that is. So I'm not going to make that was my big long spiel. So I'm going to close off with the scripture that I think Rocco lives every day. And I try to live every day, but I think I fall short of what Rocco's doing, but that's okay for now. It's the Apostle Paul. It's why we're called Very Bold Ministries, Very Bold Radio and Podcasts, Very Bold this, Very Bold that. It's just remembering what God has done first and who he is and his love and his power. So the Apostle Paul, he said it way better than me, way better than Spider-Man, even however he might say it. He said it this way, 2 Corinthians 3:12, therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.
Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.